This is a very different video for me today, but I need to talk about something. 2 days ago, I lost two of my beloved pets, and one was Lily, and Lily is an African gray parrot. And on May 17th, which was Sunday, that was her birthday, and Saturday night, a few minutes before her birthday, she died in my husband's arms, and she would have been 26 years old. So we had a 26-year-old baby that's lived with me, us, a third of our life. This was somewhat of a surprise, not the last week, because what happens is birds hide their illnesses. They do this naturally from other birds so that other birds don't kill them. So it wasn't until a week ago that we noticed her behavior was very, very different. And I don't have to go into the details of how it was different. But the last 2 days, we knew she was dying, and we kept her very comfortable in her cage until she was weak, where we could pick her up and comfort her through the last time. So the next day, basically, Pip, my 17-year-old male white toy poodle, passed away in my arms when I took him to the vets to get a quality of life, I don't know what you call it, assurance to see. And he was kind of blind, not kind of, he was blind and deaf and was lost. The good thing about Pip was that he let me know that it was his time, because he'd go around in circles. He got lost, and the quality of his life was just not good. So we buried Lily on Sunday and Pip on Monday, and today is Wednesday. So the reason I'm making this video is because I'm kind of in a dilemma of what to do next. And also because, we don't usually have a memorial service for our pets. Not that this is one, but I needed to tell you how important they are to me. And I want to talk a little bit about them. If you've never had a talking bird, well, it's pretty amazing. I mean, she had the intelligence of a 4-year-old. We had her since she was a baby, and we hand-fed her little food and raised her, and like I would a child. Because as we all know, our children, if you have pets, they're part of the family. They feel like they're your children. Well, when you have an animal that can talk back to you, it's very different. She could imitate anything and everything. She had my husband's voice. Whenever she said, "Connie, pick up the phone," she said it just like Jeff. Whenever I would pick up my purse and put on a coat and get ready to leave, she always knew, and she would say, "Bye," and sounded exactly like me. She could mimic the telephone ringing, so that many times you'd go to pick up the phone, nobody was there until you realized it was Lily. She could mimic the microwave. She could sit on Jeff's shoulder, and just about as he got ready to burp, she would burp ahead of time. She knew when he was going to do that. The worst part of Lily mimicking was that she mimicked the fire alarm. Fire, fire, when you got smoke going on. And so whenever she wanted attention, she would definitely make sure she had that sound in her repertoire. I think one of my favorite times with Lily was when company would come and they would come up to the cage. "Oh, how's that? What a pretty little bird." And Lily would then go, "Who farted?" And that was the hit of the party every single time. And every time we got out the vacuum, she would say, "Oh shit." You see, I didn't teach her that. She just had that repertoire. What I loved about her is that I've always been a pretty good whistler. And so since she was a baby, she and I have whistled back and forth to each other. It's like our bird talk. So I taught her Bridge Over the River Kwai. And she would do that. And of course, the Andy Griffith song. She had those down. But the best, have you ever heard of like what do you call it? Dueling banjos or dueling pianos? We would have dueling whistles where I would whistle a song and she would whistle, make up her own version of it. I'm gonna change versions here. She was so incredible in that way. And we would whistle back and forth and have this wonderful relationship. And most of all, what I loved was that she was a snuggler. And I'd take her out of my cage and put her here, and she put her head under here, and I would preen her because birds need to be preened. And I don't know, just talking about her makes me realize what an amazing experience it's been to have an animal in your life for 26 years. And I can tell you right now, the house is very quiet. And with our little Pippy boy, he was always filled with energy. He wasn't much of a snuggler, but when I got on my recumbent trike and would go around in neighborhoods, oh, that's what he loved. He would sit right up here, curled up with me here, and his little ears would be flapping in the wind. And then I gave him exercise, so I had him on a leash. And when I had him on the leash, everybody used to laugh because he wanted to run so fast that he ran ahead of me. I had him on the leash still, but he would run ahead of me. And you know the Grinch that stole Christmas? You know how he's got his dog with the fake antlers and he's got a whip that goes like this? That was Pip. He was there. He was there. I was on my bike and he would be running forward and people would laugh because I would pretend I had a pretend whip. And every time I went for a trike ride without him, because sometimes I needed to go a long ways, he would howl and cry inside. But the good thing, I guess, about dogs is usually, unless it's a sudden death, they tell us when it's time to go. And Pippy did. After he was lost all the time, I knew it was time to take him in and get an assessment. So taking away the toys and the dog beds and all of that have been pretty excruciating for us because not too many people lose two beloved pets at the same time. Well, the good news is we have Stella, who's a 7-year-old Bichon Poodle mix, and a little concerned about her because even though they weren't, excuse me, I got a cold, tightly bonded, the dog knows when two of its other family members are missing because the house is quiet, none of the stuff is around, and she has separation anxiety. So, the reason I'm telling you all of this is because I really want your opinion on what to do next. You see, I'm kind of in a dilemma. Do I get another dog? Now, not next week, not next month, maybe not even next year, but probably before next year. That's my dilemma, because do I think Stella needs it? I do. But here's the thing. Well, before I tell you that, here's one of the things I've noticed, is that in my own experience, as well as being 40 years as a psychotherapist, I have found, and this is kind of heartbreaking in a way, that people grieve over their pets many times more than they do their human beings. And I've had to ask myself, why is this? And I've come to understand that God gives us animals because they only know how to love unconditionally, unless, of course, they're abused. And when do we get loved unconditionally by human beings? The answer is, we don't. We don't. Not unconditionally. Not whatever you do or whatever you say. Yes, sometimes I think as we get older and we age, we let go. Hopefully that's what this channel is all about, letting go of the stuff that we hold inside so we can enjoy the last years of our life. But unconditional is something that even if you scold the little guy or you say, hey, don't do that, they come right back and they still love you. And that's why we grieve. But here's the other thing. And I want to tell you this. To me, there's no deeper grief than the loss of a biological child. So I want to put that out there right now. But I want to tell you this too. When you don't have biological children, and I don't, my pets really are my children. So I can't say that my loss feels deeper than those who do have children, but sometimes it feels that way. Because now there's 3 of us, not 5 of us, and the house is very quiet, which is not a bad thing. I still talk to them. We've had a bird cage in our kitchen for over 40 years because we raised birds. Now all of a sudden I walk into the kitchen and there's this huge space. But here's the dilemma for me that I need your help with. I'm 77, be 78 in December. My husband just turned last week 78. And the thing is, I can't do a puppy. We're too old for that. We need our sleep. But here's the thing. Is it fair if I get a dog that's 1 or 2 years old, and I would probably love another Bichon Poodle mix, and let's say they live to 15, that makes me 92. Is it going to be fair to that dog if I can't take care of them? Well, here's one thing that I do know. Here's the good news for me. I have younger friends, anywhere between 12 and 20 years younger than me. And I have such close, loving friendships that there is no doubt in my mind that if I were still alive and I couldn't take care of my beloved pet, I know one of my friends would take him or her. That I believe I have covered. I have no doubt about that. That's how much they love me. That's how much I love them. So I feel very blessed in that way. But what do you think? What do you think? What would you do if you were my age? You see, I've had many people tell me after they've lost a pet, I will never get another pet again. The grief is too much. That's not me. I'll tell you that about me. Love trumps grief every time. I will take 17 years of unconditional love and then suffer the next 2, 3, 4 months, however long, of the grief. Any day to get that love of unconditional love for 17 years. I take it every time. So that you need to know about me if you want to give me any advice. I probably would go more in that direction, only because here's another thing about getting older. There are a lot of lasts for us. Last house, last goodbye to someone you love. As you get older, you have a lot of lasts. The last pet. Do I want Stella to be my last pet? So if she dies in 7 years, I'll be 85? I don't think so. I have this feeling I'm going to be an old broad. I have a feeling I'm going to live a long time. It's just an intuitive feeling. So I don't think I want her to be my last pet. And I want to help her now through it. But that's kind of where I am in the dilemma. But to leave this on a note of uplifting, there are always lessons in grief. The greatest lesson for me, or one of the greatest, is our impermanence. None of us is going to last forever. So why think about that? That is not a morbid thought. Although a lot of people say, oh, don't talk about that, it's too morbid. No, it's not. It's a time right now for us to have the opportunity to appreciate life the way it is, with all its life, with all its joys, with all its sorrows, with all its challenges. It gives us that opportunity to appreciate the loved ones that we still have, the pets that we still have, the joys that we still have of eating and friendship and lessons. These are all lessons. We still have lessons that remind us of how beautiful life is, even when we think it ends. But here's the greatest comfort for me, and that's what I want to leave you with. There is no doubt in my mind that there is an afterlife for all of us. And so what comforts me the most is that I don't know why Lily, as a parrot, decided to come in as a parrot that was going to be given to a human, maybe for her own lessons. Who knows? Some of you may think that's a lot of woo-hoo, but you never know. Until we're really back at home, that's when we know everything. But I kind of think, for me, she's able to fly now. She's free. She's with other birds. And with Pippy Boy, he no longer is riddled with arthritis and limping around the house. He's running free, running after rabbits, maybe even on somebody else's trike in his imagination. But I know that they're alive, and I know that they visit, and I know that they will, and that's what comforts me more than anything else. So, I really want to thank you for listening to this video, and it's been a comfort for me to share it, because I never know who's looking at me from the other end of the camera. That's the hardest thing about this job. I hate that part. I'm talking to you and I don't know you back. So your comments are so appreciated, no matter what, whether it's about loss or whether it's just about any video I make. I so appreciate that. And I want to leave you with this. There really is no one worth knowing more than you. Whether you're joyful, whether you're in grief, no matter what it is, remember who you are, because when you do, you bring that love to life. You bring it to your friendships, you bring it to yourself, you bring it to your animals. So thank you so much for being with me during this time. I appreciate it.